Brothers and sisters, generals, welcome to another edition of EBX discussion. And may everybody do great, and may that great divine be in our life. And as I always say, keep us strong, looking ahead, and being visionaries as brother, sister, family. And wake up every day and thank that great divine, for ourselves, family, and the wonderful, wonderful ancestors, brother or sister, far and near, that didn't give up and was a warrior and set that blueprint for many brothers and sisters and family who are standing firm right now today. Because it could be a fight to get to a place of peace and readiness and connectedness, but it's worth it when we get to it. And then once we get to the top of that mountain and seeing over the world, man, then we can see everything for what it is: person, place, thing, especially oneself. Because when we got ourselves right, as my son said, Lord Lamont, General Lord Lamont, we had a wonderful father and son discussion this weekend. I did spend time with Ethan Friday. I didn't get to see him Saturday, but again, like I said, I volunteer, so I do spend time with him. I always reiterate, I do work a job, but as I teach on this channel, I gotta practice what I teach too. But we gotta not wait for time, but we gotta make time, for family, loved ones, peace, when we can. Of course, we're not perfect. We're gonna make mistakes, but we got that right in our heart and that divine determination. Nothing in this world will stop us from being visionaries, as I said before, because as melanated brothers and sisters, great divine gave us the gift of magnetism and being visionaries and that wonderful creative spirit deep within. Remember, brothers and sisters, there's 1 trillion and billion gifts out there in this world. There's no reason to compete or hustle nobody or get over. It's ridiculous. It's a big ass figure of speech. It's a big ass giant pie. It's enough for everybody to get a piece, so we just have to be willing to, depending on who we are, what part of the world, what situation, how our mindset is, how we think in that core, in that solar plexus chakra. Remember, as I said, that's the third chakra. We got the root, we got the sacral. You're going to hear me talk about the chakras a lot because I'm learning about it too. I used to hear of it and hear teachings, but I've never actually studied it. So I've been studying, and I'll be back with the fourth chakra and the fifth, sixth, and the seventh. Like I said, I'm gonna do a 7-part series on the chakra, and we're gonna see what we come across and inside of ourselves. And because again, just one's opinion and theory. You'll hear me say this a lot. I think it's many ways to get into that creative, righteous spirit within, but I think studying about our chakras is a good way. I think there's many ways, but as long as we're on a righteous path, righteous as we can possibly be, because it's easier said than done. It's a way of life. But I think going through those chakras, one can learn a lot about themselves. Because again, that third chakra is where a lot of people lose, real talk. So that's why I think we should study our chakras so we can have a better understanding, overstanding, and understanding of ourselves. So we can be a general out here and live free in our mind. Remember, being free is a state of mind. You hear me say that a lot too. I actually did a podcast on that. Also, success is a state of mind. Because if you're not successful, mind, body, and soul, in your psyche, in your seeing, in your hearing, in your feeling, you ain't gonna get nowhere. It's like a tire spinning out in the mud. When we're not really being true to the pit of that soul, it's beautiful. It's worth the challenge. It gives us when we are staying away from toxicity, our senses become heightened. Then we be aware of things better and learn better. And then won't get so caught up in trying to be this super intelligent person and just be intelligent and not just act intelligence and study intelligence. Intelligent, what I meant to say. And just know that we're a human. That's what should center us as brother, sister, younger, older, or family. Just remind ourselves that we are only human, as long as we're not, trying to commit no one's demise or hurting ourselves or trying to hurt no one else. I'm talking about just little human errors that we will make, But of course, when one is in control and know their soul, there will be less mistakes. Because again, like I said a few minutes ago, our senses become heightened when we are somewhat of an upright brother, sister, male or female, or family. And we know the importance of thinking that divine for our children. Real talk, because that's what I'm going to get into. And once we connect to that real divine spirit deep within, not no outside shit, we would know the real meaning of divine protection. And of course, I'm going to break that down. We're going to get into it. I got to have something for my leaders and teachers. We always got to keep what? That student spirit is wonderful. Again, do what we love what we do. Whatever craft, whatever hobby, don't go through this life without doing something we love to do. Even if it isn't impacting the world. But if it is impacting the world, whether it's a small way or a big way, and it's good for us and the world, cling to that. Stay with it. Go deeper into it. Practice affirmations, anything to keep our immune system strong and keep good things within. Now, I will say, I like to give inspiration and positive words and stuff like that. But what I always say, we always got to know that there is reality. Back to life, back to reality. So I'm saying that to say, as Brother E, get attacks too. I would say not physical, but maybe mental sometimes, maybe some spiritual, so no one is, we can be invincible in our mind, but we are not invincible. We can be the righteous brother and sister on the planet. There will always be some kind of challenge. But like I said, when our senses are heightened and we are somewhat aware of not 100% aware, because that's beautiful. If we can get to 100, beautiful, but again, that's easier said than done, being 100%. But when we practice, of course, meditation and or deep prayer, just standing within our thoughts, standing within that sacred boundary that we have within, and we'll see the ones that, like, when our senses are heightened, or seeing, healing, healing too, but seeing, hearing, and feeling, and paying attention to our psyche and our children, family, and stuff like that, we'll start to know how to differentiate, whether it's younger or older. I'm talking about individuals we run into, just things we run into in life in general. We'll know if those are having a challenge that they can't control and they mean well and they need help. And we'll also know the manipulators, those who are pretenders, because that's danger. They're pretending, got to be real. Even when we fumble and make mistakes, so what? Don't ever think that we are dumb, again, with something we having trouble with, something we don't know, we study in that area, we practice on it, and we come up with the best solution possible, whether it's for something for the world, anything vital, whether it's for our family, ourselves, something that's going to impact us really bad, especially if it's bad, what I mean? If it's negative, work on it. So again, go back to what I said a few minutes ago. Brother EBXCARES get attacked too. So hey, I'll never come off like I'm perfect. Are you kidding me? That's what keeps us balanced and somewhat humble, knowing that we're not perfect and we're gonna make mistakes. That's what builds that momentum with that great divine, Mama Nature. We just be honest with oneself, even when no one's looking or around. So I like to say, that's the secret to connecting to that divine power, is the victories no one sees. Because when you do things that feel good, especially like me volunteering, and anyone, this for any brother or sister that's in the community, whether in a big way or a small way, or you have a desire to help the community, that's a good place to start too, because that goes back to what Malcolm X said, rest in peace and in power. I'm always going to quote Malcolm X, because I reiterate, I've studied Malcolm X, I've done papers on him, Bob Marley, and even some content creators I've studied, took notes, like Brother Kwaku, Brother Lance, Brother Professor Griff. I literally got notes written from learning from those brothers and sisters. I got sisters too, and I mentioned in the past, I like to mention people I've learned from, because when you're just seeking to grow and learn, you never forget the teachers that we learn from, and that's in our families too. We got family that we have got jewels from, whether auntie, it could be a cousin, it could be an uncle, a grandma, a mother, can even be a child. Real talk. So thank that divine for our children and provide divine protection, whether it's physical, spiritual, and also tough love too. Now we ain't talking about no soft floating on the cloud Christian shit. Cause sometimes you gotta be tough. You know what I'm saying? That's something kind of for me, cause I used to be the shy person and really didn't say nothing and try to keep the peace. No, when you get up in levels and you start going through challenges and you've been through things, and as we all say, those of us with a kind heart, a lot of us have experienced people taking our kindness for weakness and shit like that. We learn that on this walk. So we don't become stern, but we become more, how can I put it, like more firmly balanced. Those boundaries get a little stronger. And we always keep love though. That's why I always like the advice I always like to give current subscriber, new subscriber, anybody that view. Never lose that love within ourselves. Never intake any fear, bitterness. Never let the outside world let us lose that love within, that human side, that good part of us, but a stern, tough, a general, because sometimes a little aggression has to be expressed in some individuals, because some people don't learn from kind. So we got to be careful with that kind, because as I like to say, kindness is a choice, not a weakness. So people taking kindness for weakness, shame on you, especially those who have been through a lot, and some of us don't want to see others suffer, so, and we try to teach kindness, but people have these things going on in their mind sometimes, and again, Brother E used to get attacked. Like I say, I spoke on how I used to be when I was young, free falling, didn't know shit. I was an asshole, real talk, straight asshole, didn't know shit from shit, and when you do a little reflection in our meditation, brothers and sisters, we think back like, wow, because I'm telling you, like I said before, my whole way of thinking was totally different than the way one thinks now. But we learn from that, right? As I wrote in my book, Unlocking the Vault. And I got a new book, Solitude Strength. I read a couple pages a couple days ago. I'm up to 3 pages. I won't read it today. I'll read the page 3 on another podcast. But in my book, Unlocking the Vault, I wrote in there, we extract the needed tools of the past, but we don't stay in the past, So that's one of the things I draw, and many of us young brothers, sometimes some are aware and some not. Brothers and sisters, young brothers and young sisters. Some are aware, some are not. That's why we need warriors like maybe myself and others. Even my son, Lord Lamont, he speaks for the youth. He comes, he was born in a good era. He was born like before the computer age, and he knows about, kids playing outside. And that's why I got him on the banner here. Actually, on my banner here and or thumbnail, and that's Ethan down at the bottom. This when he was a little younger, and that's when as I reiterate, my son and I didn't see each other. Actually, since he was a little boy, I didn't see him for a long time. Actually, the same age Ethan is on this banner. That's about the age Aaron was, aka Lord Lamont, General Lord Lamont. He was about Ethan's age. He was Ethan's age on this banner. Ethan's older than that now. He's about 4 on this banner, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. And that's about the age Lord Lamont was. And, his mom and I didn't get along and things happened. I ended up moving. It's a big old, I've talked about it in past podcasts, but, I take accountability for that. And, she did too. And, you know how I go. We young, relationships just don't work out. But I didn't see him for a good long time. And, we connected. I didn't see him from probably at the end of the 90s, probably like the late 90s, toward the end of the 90s. And I didn't see him all the way up until probably 19. That's when he moved to the Milltown where we both reside. And, he had some things he had to work out within him, and they did come out. It was kind of a little rough patch, it was something that had to happen. Of course, he's going to have things within him. He hadn't seen his dad in years, duh. So I had to let him get that out of him. And once he got through that and got past it, and we got past our little father-son issues, everything was straight. And now we good. Now we got father and son discussions, every other weekend, and we work out each other's problems and issues. And every day isn't sunshine, but we still standing. And I say, he's a strong brother. And I tell him that all the time. Lord Lamont is very strong. And that comes from his family, I told him he got a family full of strong people, productive, Might not be perfect, but some well-rounded, strong people in his family. We handle our business, real talk. So I can't speak for all families, but be thankful if you got a strong, or if you come from somewhat of a strong family that didn't have too much dysfunction. Family's going to have their challenges. But as I heard from a great brother, pull that good up out of there. Don't focus so much on the bad, because in some parts of our life, we need a little bit of a challenge to propel us and make us stronger. So that's why Lord Lamont and myself standing firm today, as well as my other children. So that's why I say I call down that great protection from that great divine, from my biological children and my God children. And, children just young brothers I see out in the street, or sisters, and, ones I volunteer with and stuff like that. It's wonderful, the connection that, the bond that one has with my son Ethan's friends. It's wonderful, man. And, makes you want to get even more involved when we take that step and really see the importance of being involved in our children's lives. And I say it was a time I didn't recognize this. When you're in a different mindset, sometimes we just don't know. But when we do know, is I always another thing I like to say, Great Divine gives us that grace period as youth, to kind of fumble and mess up, because that Great Divine knows that we aren't aware. When we're young, some youngsters are fortunate to be aware, real talk, but we have that grace period. But as I always say, there's going to come a point in every human being's life where we're going to have to pick up that accountability. Great Divine is going to make us pick up that accountability when we become aware, especially if we're healthy and nothing's wrong with us physically, mentally, say it together, folks, spiritually. If nothing wrong with us and we're healthy, we can walk and eat and breathe and see. Yeah. That's when we have to hold. That's when we're going to have accountability. Great Divine is not going to play with us. As I said, Great Divine is a very patient force. As I say all the time, Great Divine, Mama Nature, is the author of patience and time. Have all the patience in the world. Oh yeah. Even when it holds us accountable, it will still let us fumble and mess up. But just be ready for if we don't straighten up, as we see as many lessons around us. One, don't get their shit together, especially our youth. If our youth don't get their shit together, they're going to be lost going into this new time. We got to have some kind of intelligence, young brothers, young sisters. Real talk. I don't care how we think we can say God give us free will and do what we want. Yeah, for a time. But if we're toxic, raunchy, deviant, malicious, and just selfish, and just don't give a fuck, and oh my God, that's a train wreck waiting to happen. And like I said, Great Divine is the author of patience. So it'll wait all the way up until we are in our old age, and all that rotten shit we did, that's when it'll all come back. We don't want that, because again, everything we do to this body matters, So I just wanted to thank that divine, or we should thank that divine for our children, real talk. And sometimes I just sit back and think of good moments I've had with my biological children and my God children. Again, I got 2 other daughters. I bring them up every now and then, and I got another son, and all 3 of them live out of town, but I think about them all the time. And I always think about golden moments I have with them, or have had with them. And, and just little funny moments I have with my, my biological children and my God children, just funny. And I was thinking of a moment with my son Ethan, with his siblings, when they were younger, and his mom and I were together. And I remember, how, especially young black girls, how they be sassy with their mom. And I was just was thinking of a time, one of my goddaughters named Skylar, she was doing good. She got a job and everything. That's another thing that's amazing about children, watching them grow up. It's so amazing. It's like, wow, I knew these kids when they were babies. I'm talking about my godchildren, Ethan's siblings. That's like I met them when they were babies. It's so amazing. They all grown up, and 3 of them had kids and jobs, and it's just amazing. But I was just thinking of a time when Ethan and his son, my son Ethan, and his mom and I were together, and we used to all kind of have family moment. We sit around, watch TV and stuff like that, and her house had an upstairs, and I remember my goddaughter Skyla, which is doing good, and she gave me a book called Contender that I got to finish reading. And if you look down through my channel, I call them book sessions, and Contender is a good book. If anybody haven't read it, a lot of people probably read it. It's a known book, and I forget the guy that read it, but he's a well-known writer. And in that book Contender, Mike Tyson's in there, George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, Cuss, the guy that helped Tyson get to a better space in his life. It's a good ass book. But I'm gonna get back to that. I call them book sessions. I don't remember what chapter I was up to, but my goddaughter Skylar gave me that book, and she used to always do that. She used to give me books and little gifts, which all the kids did, big, some artwork for Father's Day, stuff like that. I got a poem from my goddaughter Harmony. She gave me, and she wrote the word father, and beside each letter she wrote what that letter meant. And she's very unique too. All of them, they all unique. My biological children and my godchildren. Some of them can draw, sing, dance. All of them got gifts. Real talk. And but I want to get back to I remember one time when my son Ethan and his mom and I were together. I remember one time, again, you know how little black girls can be sassy sometimes, and Skylar was standing on the steps, and and on the step landing, it's a rail, and then it's like it's like a rail, you put your hand on so you don't fall or whatever, and it's like a little half of a wall blocking the stairs, and you can go behind it. You can't see yourself if you go behind the little walls. But I just remember she was doing something, and my son's mom was disciplining her and was telling her something, and she was coming down the steps, and my son's mom said, "Don't you roll your eyes at me." And it was so funny. I just remember us laughing about it. And Skylar, she slowly went behind the wall and was rolling her eyes. It was so funny. And she said, "Don't you roll your eyes at me." So she didn't let her see her rolling her eyes, but she slowly put her head behind the wall and rolling the heck out of her eyes. We know how black girls roll their eyes. It's funny. I've even seen some funny reels where they talk about sassy toddlers. I've been seeing a lot of those. That's pretty funny. And I seen this one reel. It was just funny. I just was remembering good times I had with my godchildren. I had many stories. Again, I met them when they were babies. Ethan was a baby when I met his sibling. It's crazy. Well, Ethan wasn't a baby, of course. He was a baby because his mom and I had him together. But it's just amazing. It's like the youngest one, his sister, the youngest one. She was in a car seat. She was a baby when I met him. Like I said, it's amazing to watch our children grow. So again, thank that divine for our children, even though sometimes they get on our nerves and they can, irritate us. But if we stay with it as parents, even not just parents, just, cousins, just adults that's in their life, male, female, brother or sister, guide them the best way we can. Man, it's just so amazing the results we see down the road. Like I say, plant that divine seed. I don't care how challenging it seems. Plant that seed anyway, and we'll see that divine harvest in our children later on down the road. Because folks, you know how I go. We as humans, we don't know what's coming down the road. But what I always say, that great divine always knows. Y'all know I'm always rhyming. So we just remember good times, and it have us ready for the challenging times. Hang on to that love within, brother, sister, parent, and thank that great divine for our children. But like I said, I like the little reels, the funny reels I've been seeing. It's called Sassy Toddlers. And I saw this one toddler, little black girl. Like I said, how sassy they can be. And it was two reels I saw actually, but one reel I saw, the little girl was rolling her eyes, and the mom was recording her. She said, and the mom was like, stop it. She said, cut it out. And that little girl was rolling her eyes. I mean, her eyes almost rolling the back of her head. It was so funny to see. And then another reel I saw, is the little girl was crying, and every time the girl would cry, the the person that was recording mocked her, and it was so funny. The little girl was like, ah, and the mother would go, ah, and the girl would stop. She go, ah, ah, and the girl went, ah, ah, and just would stop. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. So, it's just things like that, just beautiful moments we have with children, especially when they're young. We got to hold on to those golden moments when they're young, especially most of us as parents, we know they grow so fast, they come into their own. And I know we have kids, I hate you and all that, and they don't really mean it. Kids say things they don't mean, because of course, as some young youth, they don't know how to control their emotions and, why they're feeling and what they're feeling. And even if they do know, they don't know how to control it. But when we got generals as adults around them, we'll show them the way, But again, be thankful for the youth that are on fire out here and learning. Because as I said, my godchildren and my biological children, so freaking intelligent, so dang on smart. Just got to have those that got that light as divine warriors, as parents and brothers and sisters, to guide them in that right direction. So, then, because remember, what we do righteous in the present will ultimately benefit us in the future. I say that a lot. So that's why we have to do righteous things with our youth. I don't care how challenging it is. So, that'll be the fruits of our labor in the future, and it just keeps going. It's the circle of life, real talk. And energy is real. What we do in the present will always matter. I don't care how we think, how much money we have, what we think we can bend to our will, especially in a toxic way. You're lying to yourself. Just be as real as we can and honest with ourselves as adults, and do the best we can with our children. And then, but it is gonna come a point they're gonna be adults. I'm talking to my young brothers and young sisters. Our parents, we as adults, we're not gonna always be there. So gotta learn the art of independence and being strong and be ready for this world, this time that you're coming into, youth. So, but I give youth protection, and that's all youth all over the world. Call down that great protection for our youth out there, even those in the struggle haven't found their place. May that great divine come in their life and help them to find their place, because they're coming into, I don't know how to put it. It's going to be a very, very challenging time. It's way different than a lot of us elders. Again, we have fought through our battles. So our youth need to listen to some elders. And some advice I actually, I know Snoop Dogg have a lot of things going on, but I heard something here recently. And I had my opinions on Snoop, concerning the Snoop Dogg thing. I mean, the Tupac thing and all that, but I try not to judge, as I heard a great brother say, I try to assess and let that great divine do the judging, because I don't know that brother, never been in his life. I can only speculate because, I've kind of said things. My son and I, we've discussed Snoop Dogg and stuff. But, when somebody says something real, I try to, again, as I heard a brother say, this ain't mine, it's another brother. I don't know, for some reason, this what he said stuck with me. We take the good, leave the bad. Got to let that great divine deal with those who have done things, because life will always teach those who haven't done right. Not saying that Snoop has done wrong. I don't know, but he said something real the other day. Even us as adults got to know when we're wrong. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it might come through a youth. Like I said, my son and I, I've heard things, sometimes we got to take it. Especially if we had parts of their life we wasn't in, and I wasn't in a lot of his life, so, and I'm sure he had a lot of hurt he was dealing within. So I had to let him get that out. I had that same experience. Me and my son and I, Lord Lamont, salute. We discussed this. Sometimes kids might have a little blow up if they haven't seen whether it's their mom or their dad. And I had that same experience with my older daughter, Andrea. She just blew up one day. Like, where were you? Why weren't you in my life? We got to take it. So again, we can't get to a space where we think we know everything. And because again, some of our youth are very intelligent, and I always like to reiterate, don't underestimate the intuition of a youth or a child. So, so again, we as parents and adults, we got to know when we wrong, because we can be wrong too now. So, and that's a part of being a strong warrior in this life and keeping ourselves balanced, So that was just some advice. Some I heard Snoop Dogg say, which I thought was pretty real, Because I don't want nothing bad for nobody. Real talk. That's why you always hear me calling down great protection for my family, brothers and sisters in the world and online. Even those who listen right along with me, current subscriber, new subscriber. Because I always remind us, folks, never forget, our purpose. If we are fortunate to know what our purpose is, because some don't, again, that's why I called on that great protection, divine protection for ourselves and from ourselves, so we don't become our own worst enemy, because that's danger. All right, and I want to get to, of course, I always got a couple songs, and I want to get to these songs, and I want to break down divine protection, because I want it in our subconscious. I want us protected, ourselves, and so we can be ready to help others to protect themselves, and then we can protect ourselves from the world, because this thing goes in levels. It's layers to this thing, real talk. And we learn this on this walk. It's always something new to learn every day if we're in that space of learning. You know what I mean? All right. So the first song, let me see. I got to find it. Let me see. The first song is, let me see if I can find it here again. Thank those for riding along. Appreciate you. All the great teachers I've learned from, because if you honor, especially if a righteous teacher now, a real teacher, one that ain't fake, if we honor thy teacher, we honor ourselves. And that's how we keep that momentum strong. Remember, I always bring up that realm. You got to stretch that realm out throughout the whole freaking world. Remember, we're spiritually unified. All right. The first one is be a king with a dream. And the second one is be free. And I uploaded this about a week ago. But we got to practice on being free. Mind, body, and soul. Yep. And then we're going to be a king with a dream, or a queen with a dream. But name of this song is King with a Dream. You know what I'm saying? A righteous dream, not nothing delusional. Something that'll impact the world and change the world. It's not impossible. All right. So be back after this.
Shit. Wake up music. My brothers. It's for my sisters too. But this is mostly a salute for my brothers, younger and older. Be a king with a dream. King with a dream. Ain't no stopping. Ain't no stopping. Gotta be a king with a dream. Haters can't take it, they too busy body dropping. Man, be a king with a dream. Ain't no stopping. Ain't no stopping, man, gotta be a king with a dream. Haters can't take it, they too busy body dropping. Busy body dropping. Yeah, keep moving on. Yeah, good things are in this song. Yeah. Rest in peace and in power. I talk about my cuz, yeah, on this hour. Yeah, I'm with this. I keep on going on with my cuz, yeah, L'Oreal on the song. And yeah, she will be forever missed. I keep her on the song, yeah, holding up my fist. A real things keep it up in my soul. I live one's family, yeah, and my bros, and my sister too. How we make it through. But to my brothers, this is a salute. And we gotta be happy and never have the blues, never be blind. This is from me to you. We gotta win deep within and never lose, and see clear, never be confused. Kings, yeah, and there ain't no stopping. Haters can't take it. Guess what, brothers? That bitty's body dropping. Man, they gotta be a king with a dream. There ain't no stopping. Haters can't take it. They too busy body dropping. A king with a dream. Ain't no stopping. Ain't no stopping. Ain't no stopping. I'ma do what I gotta do. Gotta be a general. That's why I'm here and I'm on this here flow. I never stop and my soul never low. Yeah, somewhere, man, up in the sky. Yeah, stay up on the square and on my toes. Until things, yeah, that you might not know. In the soul, in the bones, how I stay strong. So thankful that I got my great divine while I'm in this zone. I never stop, and good music, what a drop. I keep on doing this, showing love, yeah, a lot. Too much children, yeah, in my family. How I stay strong, staying away from the devil beast. I'm staying from, yeah, and I'ma stay a king. Cause in this life, man, we gotta have a dream. And ain't no stopping, haters can't take it. Man, they can't see it, too busy body dropping. Dropping. Yeah. King with a dream, and there ain't no stopping. Haters can't take it, they too busy body dropping. Busy body dropping. Busy body dropping. King with a dream. Ain't no stopping. Ain't no stopping, ain't no stopping. Be a king with a dream. Haters can't take it, too busy body dropping. Too busy body dropping. Woo! Thank that great divine for the skills and the discipline and being wise power that it has put in us. Yeah, salute to my family, brothers and sisters. Salute to my kings with a dream.
Real talk, I meant that from the bottom of the heart. Kings and queens with a dream. But, that was kind of for my brothers, because our sisters need us, Even the ones that maybe not aware of some, like I always say, that conditioning that I always bring up about Malcolm X, that's where we start. If we like, man, what's wrong with, I'm speaking on a person, but, I try to keep it a above and beyond thing. But, a lot of us run into individuals like, what's wrong with this person or nothing. Don't contemplate it. Don't just ponder it. Think about the conditioning. Pay attention to why they're acting, learn. This is something I'm learning, to learn behaviors, and that way we can know what to kind of deflect and what to help. We learn to differentiate. That's what we gotta get to. Those who want help and those that don't know how to get help and just not aware. So, and there's a lot of people that are like that, and you'd be amazed something that we could say that just will click something in somebody and help them to improve themselves. But like my son, Lord Lamont said, salute starts by improving oneself. Because we ain't right within, how the hell we going to help somebody else be right? Real talk. Because, two toxic individuals ain't going to get no damn where. So, somebody got to be right in this life. You know what I mean? So, all right. And ways to do that is to practice on being free. So that's the next song. And I'll be back after this.
EBX to my generals and family, let go.
Be free, you and me, and family,
let's go.
Might not be what we need to be, but a great divine will make us all free. You and me,
let go.
and family,
Let go, let go, let go.
might not be what we need to be, but a great divine will make us all free. You and me, and family,
Let go, let go, let go.
might not be what we need to be, but a great divine will make us all free.
My sisters and my bros, I am my generals. Stand tall and man so bold, and making sure we see and salute to our children and family. In these streets, gotta be a beast. I never be a clown, thanking God that I'm around. The real God, one that's buried in a soul, and keep us looking high and never ever low. I gotta stay strong while I'm quoting these songs, and how I do it like Lola Mine said, in my zone. I keep on doing this, we don't see no quit. We can see in this life with that divine we can be free. Woo!
Free, free, be free. You and me, might not be what we need to be, but got that great divine, we can be free. And family,
Let go, let go, let go, let go.
and you and me,
Let go, let go.
might not be what we need to be, but think that great divine, we can be free.
I'ma stay around, all up in these songs and keeping us strong. We gotta stay firm, be thankful for what we earn, and watch this life grow up and turn and change for the better in any kind of weather. And keep that love and ready for whatever. My generals and my family stay here, and thankful Paul down, great protection for those that have tears. Stay happy, stay strong in this battle. I gotta stay firm and never be rattled. My family, my sisters and my bros, stay all up on their toes and stick to the plan and great divine goals.
And we'll be free. And you and me, might not not be what we need to be, but thank that great divine we free. Yeah. And family, let go, and you and me. Yeah. Might not be what we need to be, but thank that great divine we're free.
Real talk, man. If we are free, man, thank that great divine. If we do have a free state of mind. Y'all know I'm always rhyming. I swear, I'm telling you, I don't do it on purpose. That's what the great divine does. I'm telling you. When we give, I always come back to that saying. I know we hear it a lot, but when you put out positive things consistently and you practice positive affirmations, just practice positive, doing the right thing, period. Or a craft or a hobby. Practice makes what? If not perfect, at least perfect intention. So when we do things over time, I'm talking about something good, it becomes what? Seventh nature. Do it without even trying, So again, that's why you hear me rhyme all the time. As my son, I told my son, I've been doing it since the 90s. So it's a part of me. I love hip hop, I love all genres of music, well, some, but I've named the genres I like, of course, jazz, classic, African, Jamaican, Rastafari, neo soul, I like some soft rock, not that heavy metal shit. I like guitar play, as my son and I talked about, General Lord Lamont. And so one's mind is open to other kinds of music, but hip hop will always be my first love because I think it's a beautiful form of expression. And it's something I love. So I express best through hip hop. Now I can speak pretty good. I've taught, I've learned, kind of taught oneself to speak and all that. But I let it go on hip hop. And sometimes I might cuss, be aggressive. But as I say, folks, it's a righteous agenda. When we got a righteous agenda, good things in that soul, as brother, sister, family, got nothing to worry about. Just keep doing what we've been doing. As generals do. Salute. So those are a couple of songs. I always play some songs for our chakras. Get to know our chakras. Get to know yourself. Get to know your body. And you will fall in love with that great divine and showing people and seeing the results of the impact. We get youth, and it's just so many wonderful things that can come about when a brother and sister, or just a human being, just a righteous human being overall. So many great things will follow automatically. All right, so let's break down divine protection, and I'm gonna salute you, divine warriors, on to your divine life. Brother, sister, family, let's go. Divine protection in this context of knowing and spirituality. Let's start over. Divine protection in this context of knowing, righteous knowing now, not knowing everything, and spirituality refers to the concept of that divine entity, offers safeguarding. Now we're talking about when we get into our deep prayer and or meditation, or sometimes protect physically if we're righteous and in the right. Offers safeguarding and guidance, what I talked about, us guiding the youth, to individuals or communities, small or big, remember. Righteous ripple effect. Start small, work our way out. All right. This protection can manifest in various ways, including spiritual comfort, physical safety, as I said, and being wise to navigate challenges in different religious traditions. We got to sift through this religion. I got my thing with religion, but a lot of us come up through Christianity. But when we tap into our true selves, as a lot of us have, as brother, sister, male, female, we'll go beyond religion. All right. Now, I don't bash religion. Again, a lot of us come up through religion, but once we tap into our true selves, we see what it really is. Now, I know everybody has their different perspectives on that. All right. That's, again, in different religions, religious traditions, divine protection is often seen as a promise or a blessing offered to those who trust in that great divine or their deity. But there is only one great divine. There's only one positive force. Many names, but one powerful force. Real talk. At least in my perspective and or opinion. So I'm talking about that force that keep us doing right, keep us making right decisions, what we learned in that solar plexus, Because that's where you'll find that divine force in them chakras. I guarantee you. You start studying them chakras. I'm telling you, I guarantee it's things that we don't think about once we begin to study those seven chakras. So that's just a breakdown I had of divine protection, because we can do things spiritually, physically, or we can even do things scientifically, because it all comes from what? That great divine, Mama Nature, and that universe, those three wonderful forces, that stares at us every day. We just got to be aware. It's so much more we can do than just be human. We can be the most powerful spiritual beings we ever wanted to be, but can't be afraid to step into that unknown, and don't care what people think, got to get away from that too. That self-esteem thing, do away with that shit, because that's what's in the solar plexus too. You hear me talk about that till I get to the third one, but I would just kind of come back to that, because that's where a lot of battles are fought. Again, that third chakra, it's where a lot of people lose, and it's kind of sad. Again, I don't like to see people lose or suffer. But as I heard from a great brother, those who commit evil acts and toxic bring judgment upon themselves. So marinate on that. That ain't mine. That's from another brother I learned that from. All right. So, man, that's why I thank that great divine. We should thank that great divine for our children, for having them. I'm glad I had children. I don't care what challenges they may have went through or I went through, because that's what we're going to leave behind. That's my legacy, my children, not the platform, not what I say, not my name. No, one's children will be one's legacy. So I think that should be our legacy, our children, real talk. So, because they're the ones that's going to carry that torch when we're not here. They're going to start where we left off, just like us elders. We're starting where our ancestors left off. Again, circle of life, but if we be thankful when that circle comes back around, that we're on the righteous part of it, because it's beautiful, and just keep on going, because the levels never run out until we transition, brothers and sisters. But let's make our transition as comfortable and easy and as divinely as possible. None of us don't know our expiration date, but we can still do right while we're on this planet. Do much as we can while we're here, because time is moving fast, especially for my young brothers and sisters. Again, those who willy-nilly free falling through life with no purpose, you're wasting time, and it will come back around. Life always show us our ups and downs, you know what I'm saying, whether negative or positive. But let's be on the positive side of it. Again, it's not about being this deep spiritual person. It's just being as righteous as we possibly can, so we can live a graceful golden life. So that's what we do these teachings for at the end of the day. Real talk. Get some knowledge, and so we can be aware and help our youth keep carrying that torch, keep that divine fire going, So thank those for coming in to another edition of EBX discussion, and salute to Lord Lamont and my godchildren and my biological children. And I always share golden moments. I'll keep volunteering and look for the fourth chakra I'm going to speak on, because like I said, I'm going to do a 7-part series on the 7 chakras. And again, folks, I'm learning too now. And look for a book session. I said that book I want to continue reading called The Contender, and I'll put one of those book sessions in the end screen. And again, I thank my goddaughter for giving me that book. Thought that was wonderful. And my other goddaughter that wrote the word father, and she wrote a meaning beside every word. And I won't read that today. I'll save that for another day. When I read my page, I'll read that and her name is Harmony. It's my goddaughter. And my other daughter is Skylar. And I got a godson named Dion. I got a godson named Emerald. And I got another one named Arian. And these are all Ethan's siblings. And of course, I got my other kids. Andrea, my biological. Andrea, Naya, Elijah, of course, Ethan. And I'm going to say Naya and Aaron. Lord Lamont, Aaron. Those are my biological. I'm going to say it again. Ethan, Aaron, Andrea, Elijah, and Naya. Those are my biological. So yeah, they all got amazing names. So those are all my biological and God children. And again, let's thank our divine man for our children. Salute.